we've been doing so much time doing this with our friends.
So this week we're doing our question and answer.
Yay! Yay! So we've had a bit of a problem.
We don't need to really talk about the furnace. It's all right.
No, we need to talk about the furnace.
No, why?
We can. We don't even
Our
have to
furnace
mention
has
that.
been out
Furnace has been out.
and it's been snowing. That's all we need to say. So, I have questions on my phone and then I have a couple just off my head that I know that people have been asking.
Cool.
First question from Ashley. Did you think this is where you would end up 1 year ago, 2 years ago?
Well,
No. Well, 1 year ago,
1 year
it
ago
was
we were-
plausible. About 1 year ago was when we moved in to this house, almost a year ago. 2 years ago is when everything really started changing in our life. So 2 years ago, I would say no. There's no way. I mean, we were moving from like a 4-bedroom house with 2 big family rooms. Like, it was a big house. And we were planning to downsize a little bit, but more like downsizing, like not having a family, 2 family rooms was like my downsizing in my mind, you know, but it wasn't, we're going to give up all of our bedrooms and just have one, you know?
Right.
And then
Radical.
Right. And so then when we couldn't find a house. And so we had to kind of have like a change in plan. Like, obviously the house that we were thinking we're going to find, we're not going to find.
Right.
So then it was, you know, we kind of started to come to grips with the idea that we're going to have to live a little bit smaller, but it still wasn't minimalist, you know, by any means,
Right.
I think. But yeah, 1 year ago,
1 year ago,
we could see ourselves doing this because we actually talked about it. I mean, when it came close to time to move upstairs, we're like, why don't we just stay down here in the basement? We kind of like it down here. And then...
Because a lot of people don't realize that we did live in the basement.
We lived in the basement before we moved upstairs. It was only for a few months, but we lived in the basement.
But we really did enjoy living downstairs, and it was kind of a hardship at first just because we needed to figure out what to do with all our stuff.
Yeah.
And then when we realized that after living a year without our stuff and it being in storage, we kind of realized very quickly what stuff was essential and what really wasn't. And so that was probably the catalyst, I think, for us, was realizing that we've got a storage full of stuff that we're not using. And we really haven't thought about until it's time to pay the storage shed bill.
Right. We didn't think we would ever live small until we had no other choice, and then we realized that we really like it.
Right.
Okay,
All right,
question
next
number
question.
2. This is from Amy. How do the kids do with traveling, and do you do anything special when you are in the car/plane? The kids do pretty good traveling.
Surprisingly so.
We do things to help. I mean, like, well, we have an iPad that we have a bunch of movies on, so that helps. And we always take toys. Like, when we go on an airplane, I always try and throw in either toys that they haven't seen in a long time, or just like a new little game or something that they haven't seen.
Something new.
Something new so
that they
it's
haven't seen or
more
played
likely
with
to,
before.
yeah, keep their attention for longer. What do you do on the airplane?
Watch movies
You
on
watch
the
movies
airplane.
on the airplane. What do you do in the car?
I sit in the car and make kite feet.
Do we listen to music loud in the car?
Yeah.
What song do you like to sing in the car?
Moana.
Moana. And then you just have to take breaks. When you're in the car, you just have to take more breaks, so just plan on it taking longer.
Most travel experience, you run into a mealtime anyway with kids. Find a place that has a playground or go to a park. Just some place where the kids can just run around and expel their
they're going to
energy.
be sitting So, like, let them get energy out. Like in the airport.
Yeah.
Let them run around. Like, don't be
Run
like...
with them, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do lots of playing in airports. So let them run around before, let them get as much energy out as you can before you get into the car and or plane.
Into the confining spaces. Or else that's when troubles begin. Really is. Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to say was, especially with little kids on an airplane, if you've never flown with little kids on an airplane, when you're landing or taking off and you have that pressure change of going up, you know, your ears get plugged. And as adults, we can unplug our ears really easily, but little kids don't know how to do that. And so one thing that will make the trip better for everybody, because little kids will just start to cry because they don't know what to do about it, either have something for them to chew on or something for them to suck on while you are taking off and landing.
Whether it be like
fruit snacks or
water.
I think like those little apple pouches.
Those are great.
Because they have to suck the applesauce out. So those are good too. But
yeah, those work really well.
Next question. Do you think you will be here in 5 years? That's kind of a hard question because it's like, do we think we will be here, like in this house in 5 years, or do we think we will be still living small in 5 years? Do we think we'll be here in 5 years? I hope not, because I hope we're going to move somewhere warm.
I don't know.
But do we think we're still going to be living small in 5 years?
No.
Meaning a one bedroom? No, you don't like living in a one bedroom?
Yes.
Yes, you do. I think we'll still be living in a smaller space. Honestly, I don't ever really foresee myself wanting a big, huge, grand house anymore. And now I've just realized that that's just not necessary to be happy. Like,
right.
You know, like...
It's not integral for your happiness.
Right, and yeah, my ideas of what I want have changed, and I foresee us probably living in smaller spaces, you know.
And even, I think for me, like, not necessarily living in a small space, but small mentality, small minimalist mentality.
Right. Keeping the space, you know, not cluttered for sure, and not being like, I feel like sometimes you just get that mentality of like, ooh, I have a bigger space, now I can fit more things. But not, you know, keeping still just the necessities of what we have now and having a lot more cleared areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Next question.
Okay, Jen says, in your trip to Mexico, you were wearing a baby carrier that looked like you could carry your kids on your front or back. What brand is it, and where did you get it?
Great question.
We love our carriers. We take our carriers over a stroller.
So you have to understand, before my wife started collecting plants, she collected baby carriers. We went through...
Yeah, I had to try them all, you know?
We still have a lot of baby carriers. And let me tell you, from experience...
Okay, yeah, I might have a few baby carriers, but they all fit in one little basket that's in my closet, and I use them all for different things. We'll probably show you guys baby carriers because they're a big part of my motherhood. But the carriers we had in Mexico are tula carriers. It's T-U-L-A, tula. And they are really nice carriers. And you can wear them on the front or your back. And we have two. So we have one that's like infant size and then one that's like toddler size. And so we can carry her in it. And it's, I mean...
They're great. But the tulas,
and
yeah. We can even put a link of the Amazon.
Yeah, we'll put a link for the tulas. You can get them on Tula's website. You can get them, sometimes Target carries them, but I've never seen the toddler size at Target. I've only ever seen the infant size at Target. And I think the infant size still goes up to like 45
It does.
So, I mean, you could carry a toddler in the infant size. It's just, I don't think it's as comfortable. But when we bought our first tula, this is the story, okay? We were in Disneyland, and we had just one of those, you know, $20 ones from Walmart, which is fine if you're just using it, you know,
For a couple hours.
But for like long-term, all day long carrying, we were at Disneyland and I was carrying Anna in that carrier and she fell asleep and we were waiting in a line. And we probably waited like an hour in this line and Anna was asleep. And I was in so much pain by the time we got done in that line. After this experience of standing in line and my shoulders hurting so bad from carrying Anna, I saw a mom with a tula and hers was a toddler size and she was carrying her toddler and they both just looked so comfortable. And I went up to her and I was like, what is that?
You've got to tell me.
I need that. And she told me it's a tula and I'm like, oh, I've heard about these. Okay. And I just looked at Matt. I was like, we're going to get a tula because I'm not doing this again tomorrow. We got done at Disneyland that day and the next morning before we went and did anything, we went to Target and bought a tula. We loved it so much that when we got home from that trip, I ordered the toddler size one.
And we did. And they're great. Next question.
Next question. This is from Jennifer. She says, what kind of things do you go without? So in our small space, what kind of things do we go without? There's quite a few things that come to my head. We got rid, and this is big for him because he's like a total movie fanatic. We don't own any DVDs.
That was hard.
We got rid of all the DVDs and we just kind of switched to, using Netflix.
I had shelves.
You had tons of DVDs.
Shelves
oh my gosh,
DVDs.
So many DVDs. We probably only watched like 2 of them and they were the kid ones that the kids wanted to watch over and over again. So we don't have any DVDs. We use iTunes, Netflix, Amazon Prime. We don't have any DVDs. We have very little toys. We have like 1 bookshelf of toys. And it's mostly books and toys. What was it? I saw a statistic. It was like the average kid has like 200 toys. Or some crazy number, but only plays with like 12. Like it's some crazy number. Like I was just like, oh my god.
So what we did was when we moved into the small space, we told Anna, pick out your favorite toys.
Right. Well, we just explained to her, we're going to be in a smaller space and it's going to allow us to do lots of fun things, but it means that we don't have as much room for things and we can only take a few toys. And when I told her that, she was like, okay. And she went into the playroom because when we were upstairs, we had an entire room designated for toys. So she goes into the playroom and she picked 1 little toy. And she's like, I'm done. And I'm like, that's all you want? And she's like, yeah. And
we made her go back and get
I ended up going back and going through the toys and I'm like, okay, we're going to keep this one. Or we're going to keep this one. But yeah, and honestly, we might still go through our toys again. Like we still have toys that I'm just like, why did I keep that? We don't need that toy. We've been in the basement, really in the basement, permanently for a few months now. And we are still, learning this whole, what we have space for and still constantly, checking ourselves and being like, okay, do I use this item? Do we need this item? And so I'm sure like the stuff that we have now and the stuff we have at the end of the year is probably going to be still vastly different than what it is now. And so, another thing we go without is clothes. Like we went from having this huge closet to, Matt and I's closet is like this big. And so we each only have like this much space. Yeah.
In terms of the kitchen, we got rid of just about anything that has one purpose. But we got rid of all the ridiculous cutlery that's only good for one thing.
Yeah. And
so that cuts down a lot, like a ton.
And then like the multiples. Like I had like multiple big glass pans and I have one pan. And like baking sheets. I had multiple different sizes of baking sheets. We have 1 baking sheet. And it just makes things a lot more simpler. All right, so there's lots of things that we go without.
Hi.
All right. You have a boy and a girl. What are you going to do when they're older? So I assume this is in reference to being in 1 bedroom.
Probably.
I'm really not too terribly worried about it, to be honest.
Well, how long did you live with your brother?
I was in a room with my brother till I was at least 10. You know?
Right.
And, I don't know. We're a fairly open family, and so... So, I mean, I'm not worried. I mean, I think we have at least a good, 5 years before we really would even have to worry about it. And then I think it all just depends on our kids' personalities. And, if we feel like they need separate rooms, then that's what we'll do. And if we feel like they are fine, then...
Sure. Well, anyway, this next week is it's my birthday.
It's Matt's birthday, but if we don't do anything fun, I guess we'll just...
skip it. Like it never happened.
No.
32 years
Next
young.
week will be us singing happy birthday to Matt.
So, anyway.
I've asked him several times what he wants to do, guys. He's not a very decisive person, if you didn't know that.
I can be.
All right, well, the kids aren't here to do a squeeze, so... Squeeze! Where will you be in 5 years?
Hawaii.
In Hawaii? How old will you be in 5 years?
3.
3? No, you're 3 right now. You're almost 4. So if you're 4, look, if you're 4, and in 5 more years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how old will you be? Count them all together.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Nope, not that one. 4,
5,
5.
6, 7, 8, 9.
You'll be 9 years old in 5 years. Oh my gosh, you'd be old.
Yeah.